Local adjustments are image edits that are applied to a specific area of the image. The edit is localized as opposed to a global edit which affects the entire image. Just above the basic menu are several tools. The three on the far right are the local adjustment tools. In this lecture, we will be looking at the radial filter, which is the tool second from the right or next to the adjustment brush. Click on the radial filter, which will open the radial filter window. You will notice the settings within the radial filter window look very similar to the basic tool. However, you will see the word mask at the top of the menu and the word feather and invert at the bottom of the menu. The radial filter will define a circular mask. The mask is the area that will reveal or show the localized image edit. Some images can easily be edited with the circle of the radial filter, while other images may require a more precise mask with the adjustment brush. Before you begin, think about what specific or localized area of the image you want to edit. For example, in this image, I'd like the concrete to have more contrast and textural detail. I'd also like the black areas in the biker to be more visible. With the radial filter, if I click and drag my cursor in the image, a circular mask is defined. The points at the edge of the circular mask allow for modification of the circle. Just click on any point and pull in or out to modify the shape. I can also click inside the circle and drag with my mouse to move the radial mask location. Hover just outside of the circle and you will see two arrows that will allow you to rotate the mask. Turn on the Show Selected Mask overlay to see the area the mask is affecting. You might be surprised that by default, the radial filter applies the mask outside of the circle. To change this and have the areas inside the circle become the mask, just click the invert box toward the bottom of the radial filter menu. Notice just above the invert box, you will see a feather slider. You can modify how soft or hard the edge of your mask is with a feather slider. Sliding to the right makes the radial mask edge softer. Sliding to the left makes the radial edge harder. For now, I'm going to invert the mask so that I can make a local edit to the pavement in this image. I'm going to uncheck Selected Mask Overlay so that the red masks disappear so I can see my image edits. Before you begin your edits, make sure that all of the edit sliders are set to 0. If you see any of the sliders show previous settings or settings other than 0, double-click the triangle to reset the slider, or double-click the word Effect to reset the entire menu. I'd like the concrete to have more contrast and textural detail. For contrast, I'll make the whites whiter by sliding the white slider to the right, and the blacks blacker by moving the black slider to the left. I'm going to also push up the textural detail just a bit in this image to make the concrete and danger text seem grittier. A quick way to see the before and after view of your edit is by hitting the backslash key on your keyboard. The backslash key is located above the return button and below the delete button. Now that I've increased the contrast and texture of the pavement, I'd like to show more detail in the black areas of the biker. To do this, I need to define a new mask. Otherwise, the edits I made for the concrete will be applied to the biker. At the top of the radial filter window, next to the word mask, click New. You will notice the previous mask anchor point is now grayed out. In the radial filter window, double check to see if any of the sliders show previous settings or settings other than 0. If the settings are not zeroed out, double-click the triangle to reset the slider, or double-click the word Effect to reset the entire menu. Turn the Show Selected Mask overlay back on so that you can see where you are defining your new radial mask. As a new circular mask is defined, a new anchor point will appear. I've defined a circular mask over the biker, but you can see the mask is being applied outside of the circle. I'll click the invert box so the mask is applied within the circle. Remember, the circular mask can be moved, rotated, size adjusted, or feather edge modified. You may notice the mask is a bit too large for the biker. Areas of the radial mask can be erased. Make sure your mask is active. The anchor point should be black. At the top of the radial filter menu, in the mask section, notice next to New and Edit, you have a brush option. Click on the brush option. The radial mask can now be modified with the brush tool. At the bottom of the menu, click on Erase, and notice I'm able to paint out or erase areas of the mask I do not want included in the localized edit. Once the mask is precise, click off of the Show Selected Mask overlay box and apply your adjustments to the mask in the radial filter menu. For this image, I'd like to see more tonal range in the biker. I'm going to open up or lighten the blacks. It might also be interesting to pull out some color from the biker by desaturating the image. I'll move the saturation slider to the left. By desaturating the biker, more emphasis is placed on the word danger. When you are done with your local edits on the current image, be sure to save. Command S for Mac or Control S for PC. Hit Continue when asked if you would like to save metadata to file. To close the radial filter window, click back on the radial filter. All the anchor points will disappear. However, you can re-enter the radial filter menu and reactivate any mask to continue editing.